We have left Wyoming. We have just crossed over into the beautiful state of Nebraska. Tell us what is special about Nebraska to you.
I was born in Omaha, Nebraska, and it has its Douglas County, and it's the only county in Nebraska where they keep their birth certificates themselves and they don't go to the state office where everybody else in Nebraska. So it took me a long time to find my birth certificate. Like 2 years, because I didn't know that. Welcome to Nebraska. The heartland of America.
And this is what I look like. I don't know what I look like. So, good morning to you. Thank you for sticking with us on this quest. This is pretty much what I pictured Nebraska to look like. So this state, in a good way too, this is what I picture prairie to look like. And the little white gorges, or not gorges, but waterways, whatever you want to call them, the low areas in the prairie, the rolling hills. Yeah. We are in the middle of Nebraska. We are headed for Omaha, Nebraska, which is hometown.
The place where I was born.
And she's still driving. And yeah, Nebraska is corn. These people grow a lot of corn. So, if you're wondering what state looked like the iconic Midwest corn and prairie, you know, Nebraska does not disappoint.
You'd order the catfish and then bring out this platter like this. It was the cage of a catfish, about this wide, in a huge arch, and the meat would just hit deep fried like a hunk of catfish, and you would just peel the catfish fillets off of this catfish thing that was like this tall. I guess they just deep fried this catfish thing, and we would just eat all this catfish. And no bones, because they have cartilage, so there's no bones in catfish. You just peel off these big white pieces of that catfish. Back in the day, that they caught 20-foot catfish was not a big deal for the Missouri River. And this car is 18.2 or 18.7 feet long. So it was a catfish as big as a Suburban or bigger. I mean, when you think about it.
Wow.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's the same today because of people catching fish and genetics and whatever's changed, water quality. But it is the Missouri River, so I never doubted it. You know.
One of the two biggest rivers in America.
Yeah.
And they become one.
Yeah, I would not doubt that they're...
I'd say our biggest catfish are probably in the Mississippi.
I agree.
And I have 8-footers in my lake.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah, in Berryessa by the dam, we probably have the best chance. You know, you see the car.
I have seen some big...
West Omaha, we just rolled into the edge of what was her home small town. Very small when you were here, smaller, way smaller.
No, Omaha's a big town.
It was big when you were here, relatively, for
Sure.
It was 19... It was the 19 somethings, 20s.
I think we left here by
1908.
Funny. I think we left here in 67.
67.
We
So.
left in 67.
And how old would you have been?
I was 12.
12-ish in around 1967, leaving Omaha, Nebraska. And where did you move to?
1 block off the Mission District in San Francisco.
Wow. So San Francisco in the 60s is what you saw after you left Omaha.
Yes.
That's
I
pretty...
never even saw anybody that was of Chinese descent.
That's important to know. That's important to know.
I was naive. I didn't even think there was any other music in the world except for like Nat King Cole and country music, and I think the Bee Gees put out a song at that point, and I was like, what kind of music is that? My first 45 was, I started a joke by the Bee Gees, and I think he bought it for me, my first 45 record, and I would
That is a true story.
play that over and over. So out here should be Boys Town and Creighton University.
Boys Town is on the map still.
And Creighton University did all our dental care. It was a dental school university, but they have Strategic Air Command here. Boys Town was large then. I mean, these freeways overpasses weren't here and all this.
The freeway overpasses weren't here and
So
stuff.
I don't know, exactly where I am.
And all of the townhouses and sprawl of the urban stuff, but it was still
Oh no, it says downtown 14 miles. So.
but it was still a pretty good size.
Well, it wasn't this far out. I mean, the city wasn't. This
Right.
was farmland. My aunt had a house out here, and she raised turkeys or chickens, and there'd be millions of chickens. And when you drove up to her house, and it was a watermelon farm, but when we would go to visit her, they would be burning the beaks off of the chickens so they wouldn't peck at each other. Because sometimes that's what they do when you have like a million chickens living in these things, and you can smell the burning beaks. It's totally gross. But we'd leave with like 40 watermelons also. Big old long watermelons. I think they were called grays, something gray, but the watermelons were huge. Like as long as your leg from your hip to your, like below your knee. Giant watermelons.
20-foot catfish and watermelons as big as your head.
The watermelons were tiny. I never a car.
No, a biplane carrying a flag. Are you
It's
kidding?
a sign.
It's my job.
Oh, can you see what it says?
Maybe later.
Oh.
I've never seen that besides in a cartoon. Well, see, everybody's worldly in different ways.
Now see, this was here, 42nd, 73rd. This was all.
I like the train on the ridge running through town. It's kind of cool how it's all lifted
I think
up.
they have their own train bridge. They did back then.
But
So
how
the-
it's lifted up too.
Yeah, well,
It's
the
like
bridge
its own-
that's going to take them across the Missouri is different than the bridge this traffic will go through. They've always had a train bridge. Oh, wow. There's actually still all the brick buildings and stuff here that they left or they built. Wow. The Frito company was here.
Things that you guys lived?
The Frito company where you could smell making Fritos at night was here.
Like under these overpasses?
No,
and
the
stuff?
overpasses weren't here. This
Like
was
under
like
the
stock car races down by the river, and the Frito company right there. And yeah, no, Fritos. You won't be smelling any Fritos cooking. You can tell when they're because the wind blew from the river down to our house, Grandma's house right there. Oh, he is taking our road. Okay, so this is the way it would have been to Grandma's. No.
The freeway was Broadway?
That was just a town going, a road going down north. All right, we're gonna just need to go to Manawa because we can't. None of this is. Look. Oh my gosh. Of course it is. Council Bluffs. So, of course.
How long has it been since you've been here? Was that it?
Like 53 years.
53 years.
Like this neighborhood was our grandma's.
That was your grandma's neighborhood.
It was. Wow, look at the cornfield all the way down. Yeah, but they didn't build on it. I wonder why. Okay, so maybe the broom factory dirt is just sitting there as the broom factory corner. Like they tore down the broom factory.
It was your grandfather's broom factory?
Yeah, so one of these streets.
Where they made brooms?
Yeah, he was a broom maker. But Indian Creek, we used to go down here and get these crawdads about this long, right out of those lousy little ditches. Literally, they were crawdads.
We should see if they're still there.
I might.
Yeah, I'll help you.
That's the same thing.
You guys want to see if there's
We walk
crawdads?
from the
big as
house
your
over here to
head?
get them.
Okay.
Take them home and eat them.
Yeah. We can say we're actual locals. People will be like, whoa, these Californians just showed up, snatched some crawdads.
See how close it was to our house?
Lake Manawa.
We
So it
spent-
was how many blocks from your house? About 5, 10?
Maybe 7. I don't know, not very far.
And what did you say the Native American word for Manawa meant? Place of rest?
Not American word. I think it's a native word. Peace and comfort.
Peace and comfort?
Yeah, I think it meant Manawa, peace and comfort.
Indigenous American word?
Yeah, probably. Well, this is Potawatomi County. They were Potawatomi.
Potawatomi.
Potawatomi. This is Council Bluffs, Iowa, and it's in Potawatomi County. So
There's like a sailboat out on your lake, and or some sort of lily-leash like
Yeah.
creature.
yeah.
Or taro? Yeah, elephant. No, lily pads. Those are like bold, like big ones. Like in the movies we walk on.
Okay. Wow. Are you kidding me? I'm glad we have reservations. How possibly cute is all of this
I don't know.
that we're here?
In the
We
lake.
have returned. We spent every almost weekend here. We had 4th of July here, potato salad, watermelon, about 40 family members. This was like our place.
In Nebraska, in the Midwest. You're in the Midwest
This
for
is
people.
Iowa, Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Council Bluffs, Iowa. For
Yeah.
people who are not in this country. You are in the middle of the heartland of the. Look at the smokestacks over there.
I know.
The heartland of America, and what we
don't
refer
know
to as the Middle West or the Midwest.
Midwest.
And so these are like the lakes and picnic grounds that would be pictured in our movies and stuff when we portray the past. This is an actual person from those times long ago returning to this actual location. So that's what you guys are sharing with
Look
us.
how they've built these homes around the water overflow.
Oh, it is.
None of this was like this. It did not have a road that went around here or anything like that.
This road wasn't here.
No. None of that was there. This was trees and that tree was everywhere.
And we have driven far enough south to be a little bit more ahead of fall. If you're paying attention in the video, you can see some of the leaves are still green here and just turning gold where we just came through the last reds and oranges.
Looks like they're just starting.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of them are green here. So, fleeing, and we talked to Alaskans that stayed behind in the Alaskan land today. Jessica, cousin Jessica from Other Adventures, one of the original Quest members, and she said that it is snowing in all the places where
We drove out of last Wednesday.
yeah, so the snow is closing in on Alaska behind these guys as they go. Remember that this is the people who have lived in Alaska for decades and decades and decades that are now moving across the country, and so it is somehow metaphorical and poetical that we are traveling in the changing season during the changing season of life, if that makes any sense, so that you guys also know what you're witnessing. So not huge amounts of treasure, but treasure of a different kind for sure. We're getting to see and document some pretty cool things. And here's the campground.
Wow.
27 miles. Continue straight.
That one. That's the train bridge that they left. I don't know if it's working. And that's sure that they left the trees along the river. So you know exactly where the Missouri runs. Because I was like 12 years old. You can get a driver's license in Iowa when you're 12. Learner permit at 11 and a half. I was learning to drive, and Grandma let me take the Mercury, the skunk mobile, around the block, and when he hit the ice, this car just sailed across the street, spun, ended up almost going into our own driveway. Look at the size of these silos nowadays. They're huge. Now you could build a big home in one that big. Those crawdads used to get down at that one behind the ice house down the road from 7th. Big old giant in those gutters. I don't know why they were even living in those gutters. So
It's at the base of one of these trees, and I'm thinking it's right here.
I don't think it's going to be on the right.
No, left, right
It's
there.
left, and
Like
it's going
right
to be
here,
right
big
here
old
somewhere.
giant tree. When I looked at
Right
the picture,
there, I
there's
think.
roots.
So we are in a cemetery near to Omaha, Nebraska, where my uncle and my mom grew up on the Missouri River. We're looking for the grave, and beautiful. Let's go. Okay, let's go see if they have found. we were doing that thing where we have a picture of it, but we can't quite figure out where they were because there was a tree that's not there anymore. Okay, we found the grave. My uncle Richard is at it with his wife Tara, and my mom's coming back down the hill. Down in the front where they're standing by the front gate almost by the road, because it's block A, row 3 or whatever. So you guys are some of the originals.
Yeah, because Grandpa bought those plots a long time ago.
Yeah, and you guys were here a long time ago. That was really a long time ago.
Oh my gosh, that close to the front?
Oh yeah, a big cemetery spread out over time. Well, it's not even a big one. There's one edge. There's the other edge. I love that they get to listen to the corn rasp, because that's what everything was about. So they're surrounded by the raspy corn.
Oh my gosh, how exciting. We're that close to the gate and we didn't remember that we were that close.
One of the originals.
I actually do remember that shed now that I'm... Oh my gosh. Oh my God, they buried... This is Grandma Moore's. This is Grandma Moore's.
Oh, it is. Truth.
Always remember. You remember where the kids had played? You did? What? Oh my gosh!
Nobody ever saw this. We're probably the first people to see this.
My phone's in the car, so can you look at how disheveled and crooked it is.
The tree.
The trees, but they took the trees out. So.
Oh my gosh.
Well, he was saying it was just like a little flat one. They came through and
Well,
put everybody with something.
Yeah.
so long.
In the whole family, the first ones to actually see it?
Yes,
Yep.
we...
Well, I'm sure they're really
We
glad
left
that you
with-
guys are here paying respect. That's awesome. Watch out, there's shirt metal back here. Even got
My
some
ears are
blood.
ringing.
We're at Barnes.
That's where I thought we were.
That's as far as my mom is at that
Yep,
car.
it is.
Well, you can see the oldest tree. Well, we found him. She was a Rebecca, and he was a Mason. And Rebecca's are. I have her medal and Mom's medals, and they were Rebecca's. It's help the distressed, feed the poor, feed the hungry. I was gonna give up almost. I
You'd be
thought we gotta
working,
go.
No, we weren't going to give up till we found out
No.
it was here.
All right.
Especially once I found out it was in the right cemetery. There's 4 of them in this town.
Oh,
So, yeah. Sorry I didn't bring you up there, Grandpa.
it's okay. We found you. We know where you are.
Okay, closing shot. There they go. I don't know why it didn't occur to me at first that I was here to look for my great-grandparents. I was just helping them look for their grandparents, and then that sunk in. Great-great-great-grandparents, the Moores and the Powells, Nebraska people, and you can hear the corn rustling from here. So, those are my great-grandparents from Nebraska. This was a pretty cool trip. now I know what Kerouac was talking about.
That is the Hinky Dink building, but I think that's where everything was, Richard, right there. This was the corner of the broom factory.
Right here.
Okay, I think this is where her house was.
Right here.
Right here. And where's the corner street though?
Would be right up here. Because that was the roller rink right there. That building. And the railroad tracks used to run in between. Television. This 34th right here.
This
Were
was
those the
it.
chalk tracks that ran behind the building?
That was over at 7th Avenue. I think this is the broom factory corner, Richard.
there.
This is it.
Right there where that house
Your
is.
grandfather's
Yep,
broom factory?
That is the corner for the broom factory.
This is the
This is
building.
where there was wood furniture thing in the back. That was Grandma's
That
property.
was the roller rink right there.
Yep.
One of these buildings were. Yep. That was it. And the railroad
That's
tracks
the.
used to run right
That looks
there.
like it's the Hinky
There's the
Dinky
old railroad
building.
track?
Yes.
Where you
Yep.
Behind your grandparents' house?
Yeah, because the furniture.
And the
factory.
Oh yeah, big giant silos, huge. Concrete silos. Yeah.
And the broom factory that he worked at was literally across the street on the corner?
Just
across the
yes.
street on the corner.
He walked
Wow.
to work every day.
Wow.
He put a washcloth on his
He
head
worked there
every
for
morning.
40
He had
years or 50
two,
years.
and he walked down there, half a block even, not a whole block. Half a block, it was on the corner. And then you would go in there and there's like 6 people,
Railroad
4
tracks.
people. There's
Railroad
the tracks.
Right there.
Yep.
That corridor, and there was huge, giant concrete silos down up 2 blocks. Make one more pass.
And then the broom factory here on the corner.
Factory right there.
Man, I'd love to dig in their yard. Right?
Right?
And I'm not thinking that was right here.
Right here.
No, it was this next block. It was right there.
That looks like that's the hinky dinky, Richard, don't you think?
The hinky dinky was up
Right there.
1 block right here. Bet you it was right here.
No.
And that was the wood factory is where them buildings are.
Well, I can't say for sure.
I'm thinking right here was our house. And tons of it. And the brick house right across the street.
But what you perceive as big as
Yeah.
a kid and perceive big now is 2 different
This is
Yeah.
the neighborhood because that's
Yes.
all the industrial down
Yeah,
there,
they
I
love
Richard.
thought when we drove
How
down
good is
Now,
that?
hold it. Look at this 2-story right here.
Oh.
In 400 feet, make a U-turn.
But yeah, it's one of those. Now you just go over there and hang out with a bunch of fun stuff.
And
I found
it's-
spikes after spikes. I had so many spikes.
I had so many spikes.
Yeah.
God!
There's Randy School. When you see that picture in that round oval thing,
She's
that's where
standing
she was
at
at.
Bloomer.
That was her Bloomer Elementary School
Oh
teacher.
my God! We accidentally drove by Bloomer. Oh.
When I left on this trip, I knew that it was a once-in-a-lifetime chance to go and see the places in the United States where I had not seen before and to travel with my mom. But as we travel together now, looking at all of the sights in her hometown, looking at the spot where the railroad tracks used to be, where she described to me my whole life and then described to my children and in stories as she told them over time about when she was a little girl waiting for the conductors of the railroad to come by, and the kids would run out and say, "Please throw us your chalk, chalk, chalk," and scream chalk, and they would take their big chalk sticks that they used to write on all of the train cars with, and they would throw it down for the kids, and the kids would then have that as a toy. And how simple life was back at that point, and how little things like that could matter so much. Watching her and her brother, 2 siblings, come back to their hometowns after 50 years, watching their reactions, and I knew that I was bringing them to their grandparents' grave sites and their great-grandparents' grave sites, but it wasn't until I was standing there that for some reason I realized that these were my great-great-great and my great-great-great-great grandparents. And that sinking in all on itself made it a heavy moment. And then driving back through the town, watching them discover the buildings that weren't there, watching them look for landmarks and drive back and forth as we look for these different structures and clues. The stories of my mother's grandfather who owned a broom factory nearby her house, and then the smells of the broom factory and all of that being brought to life now and fleshed out. Just an awesome chance to get back and look at things that I've only heard about. One thing that I have noticed in traveling across the land and across the borders of the states is that as we came across the Rocky Mountains, across the Great Divide from the west, that is the more recent gathered chunk of geography, to the east, the state borders began to make sense. They began to make geologic sense. As you cross over the borders in the eastern part of the United States, you get a real sense of the geography changing. It'll be upon a river, it'll be upon a mountain range, it'll be in a major city on a river or on a crossroads where two states came together and that was their meeting point on a route, and they split the entire thing. Geographic borders, like rivers, like mountains, like regions, as you leave the prairie, as you get onto the plains, as you travel through the mountains, each one of those coming to their end, and the people there having adapted, even though they've only been there for a few hundred years, having adapted, having become their own individual pocketed things. People that live where you can't grow, and so they are not farmers, they're ranchers, they're other things, places where the corn grows good, and so they become the corn farmers, and you can see each thing in its economy and its culture, and it becomes a region. There are definite regions. It's something that you should sense about yourselves, is that you have become things that exist nowhere else in the world. Even though we are all from somewhere else, everyone that's not of indigenous blood here is from somewhere else. We're kind of like the Mustangs and the other things that have come here and mixed together and become our own creatures, and we exist only here. We are like those wild horses. You can't find us anywhere else on the planet now, even though we're made of things that came from other places in the planet. And you can sense that as you travel through the different accents, the different regions, the different cultures. They're cultures. We've developed our own cultures, and it's not about color of skin or religion. It's more about where that river naturally divided the soils, and where long ago great glaciers moved, and whatever conditions that shaped the land then shaped what the land could be used for, and what the land could be used for ended up shaping the humans who came there to thrive all throughout history. And with the cultures that we have brought with us, that combines to make individual regions, individual little cultures, and amongst this whole vast thing that we call the United States, and we've started to think of as one thing. We are a complete mix, something that we can appreciate, and doesn't ever have to be one thing. We can celebrate the diversity of it, and hopefully it doesn't ever get forced into being one thing, because just as rare as anything else that's as endangered and only exists in one place, these modern cultures, these cultures that have only existed here for the last couple of 100 years, that have developed into their very distinct from each other and found nowhere else in the world places and peoples, they are in a sense endangered because they exist nowhere else. And it's just something that I see as I'm watching the details go by and crossing over the land.